Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Democratic View. I'm the hostess. My name is Phyllis Italiano. Been doing this a long time, and today I have with me an original guy, John Whelan, because he's a native of East Hampton. That's very rare, John. I don't usually get that. And he also happens to be the chairman of the Zoning Board of Appeals for 7 years.
Yes, yep.
Yes. So, John, tell us about you. You are now a candidate for town board running in the primary.
Correct.
And the primary is
June 22nd.
June 22nd.
Yes,
Okay?
yes.
Take it away. It's yours.
Okay, thanks, Phyllis. Well, thank you. It's nice to be here with you, and thanks for the invitation. Yes, I am a local born in Southampton Hospital back in 1957, so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I've never introduced anybody before from Southampton, born in Southampton Hospital.
Yes, so I grew up out here and still know many of my classmates from grade school and from high school, and since then I grew up in out in Northwest Woods, and my parents, Dwayne and Mary Whelan. My mom was an artist and a school teacher for many years out here in local schools, and she was a great painter as well. And she had some things in the Museum of Modern Art. She had a show at the Brooklyn Museum and a one-woman show. I'm bragging about her now, but she passed away. But she had a one-woman show at the Smithsonian, so she was quite an accomplished artist. And they met in New York at the Catholic Worker, and my dad was an NYU law student. And he came out, and after a while working in New York, he was the town attorney out here in East Hampton for, I think, about 23 years, and or 20-something years, and planning board attorney, ZBA. Back then, he wore a lot of hats, you know.
Wow.
And I'm always proud to say that he, back when I was born in '57, he authored the first zoning code template, and the state attorney general actually asked him if he could use it as a template for smaller towns that couldn't afford his expertise. So we have a nice handwritten letter from the attorney general, and my dad wrote back and said,
nice.
of course, I'd be honored. So, so we grew up on, they bought some land out in Northwest with my aunt and uncle Doris and Larry Conslick, and my folks had a large family, as did the Conslicks, and we all shared, we farmed together. We had big vegetable gardens and pastures, and we had a milking cow and steer and pigs and a horse and chickens and that sort of thing. So
And what area was this in?
It was right out in Northwest, up by Mile Hill
That's what I
Road.
thought.
Yeah, kind of this side of Cedar Point, you know, just up from the beach. So growing up back then, there was no traffic out there. My sisters would sell bread on by the side of the road, and you get 1 or 2 cars a day going down there, you know.
Oh, my.
So, but anyway, so I had a lovely childhood, I have to say, and then I went away, and I was interested in art, and I studied art at St. John's University in Minnesota. It's a very interesting Benedictine school with about a 2,800-acre campus and a lot of lakes, so it's beautiful. And I studied French literature, and I double majored, and then I was studying secondary education because I thought I might want to teach, which I did eventually for a bit. And then one of the nicer years in my life is I went to France and studied at the French art school, the École des Beaux-Arts in Aix-en-Provence, where the great painter Cézanne lived and painted. So I painted.
So you speak French?
I do speak French. That's one thing I do. And I try to maintain that. It's fun. And then I came back and I was building houses. I started building when I was, about 15 back then on summers, framing houses and that sort of thing. And I continued that all through college in Minnesota, and after college for about 5 years. And then I went back to graduate school for architecture, and I got my master's at Virginia Tech, which was an excellent school. And I actually continued doing some building projects down there as well.
Near D.C., right?
Yeah, no, this is not, they have something in Alexandria, but this is the one way out in Southwest Virginia, west of Roanoke. And again, a massive campus. It's like 35,000 students. It's a big school. VPI, Virginia Polytechnic and State University, but, or Institute, not State University. But anyway, then I came back and I continued to do construction, kind of a lot of higher end stuff, working with some larger builders out here, when things were really kind of taking off. And then actually fairly soon I started working in the architecture field, actually right away when I got back, I should say. And I started with Fred Stell, and now the company is Stell Lamont Rouhani Architects. And I've been in the field, working professionally in the architecture field for about 30 years now, I have to say. I took some different hiatus. I took a hiatus for a few years. I was overseeing, working on the Ross School. Our office was doing one of the buildings, but I was hired by the Ross School. So I was overseeing a lot of, and working with the big contractors and the different architects and all the permits. So with regard to my town board, I always like to think this experience, I can contribute in the aspect of managing projects, because I have for the last 20, 30 years worked with the, FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management, so
Yes, of course.
with the New York State DEC, the New York State Codes Division, Department of State, Department of Conservation, the Suffolk County, Water Authority, Suffolk County Wastewater Management. So I've worked with all these agencies, and I'm very comfortable with that, and I know working on town projects, if I'm elected on the town board, I like to think I can bring a lot as far as just practical hands-on skills and taking over things and managing them. And, I like people, I like to work with people. And so I was doing that for quite a few years, and actually I took a little hiatus and taught for a year, which was kind of cool to do. I taught French over in Sag Harbor.
Really?
Yeah, at the waterfront school back then. Actually, it was kind of a part-time thing, but it was great to do. And let's see, then as you know, years ago I did run for town board once before, and came very close to getting elected. But after that, it was an honor. Our county executive, Steve Bellone, I'd gotten to know him during his first campaign. We were campaigning at the same time.
I interviewed him that year.
Yeah, did you? Yeah, he's a great guy, yeah. And it was quite an honor because he, back then, the Wilkinson administration had not filled the position for the Suffolk County Planning Commission, which is an important, I learned more about it as I became, so he asked me to be the commissioner for representing the town of East Hampton. So I did that, and it was nice to be nominated by him, and I served on that. And David Colon, who at one point ran for Congress, primaried against, I can't think of her name, Southampton supervisor. I'm drawing a blank.
I'm drawing a blank, too.
That's okay, yeah, she'll understand, because I'm rattling off a lot here. But my point again is that was a great experience. I served on that planning commission, and we work on large county planning projects. And any projects that come within 500 feet of New York, of the county properties and things like that, and water bodies. And it was a great experience, and David Colon was really a great mentor as far as how to chair a meeting and how to run something like a commission like that. And I'm proud to say that in my position there, the Wilkinson administration back then, they were kind of in a lame duck post-November and before January, and they were trying to develop 555, that great piece of farmland in Amagansett.
Yes,
And-
I know it well.
Yeah. And as you may recall, they realized they had to go to the Suffolk County Planning Commission and get approval before. And if they did not get an approval from the county, they would need a supermajority on the town board. And back then, Peter Van Scoyoc and Sylvia were on the town board, so we're against it being developed because it's prime farmland, as we know. It's a beautiful open space.
Yes.
So I did my homework, and I was able to convince the commission 14-2 to go along with me and deny the application, because I presented it as the wrong piece of land at the wrong time. I mean, and this was not even affordable housing, which I could go on and on about, which I'm certainly interested in. But this was not affordable housing even, and it was on prime ag soil. So therefore, they needed a supermajority. Peter and Sylvia did not vote for it. And then when Larry Cantwell came on as supervisor, as you recall, they voted and they worked it out where they were able to purchase that with CPF. So therefore, we now have that nice piece of open property. So,
Gorgeous,
so
really.
that was great to be able to bring my work at the Planning Commission, bring it home to East Hampton and do something.
Yeah.
And then-
It's wonderful to have that open space.
Yeah, it sure
there.
is.
Yeah.
It sure is. And then if I may continue with my stepping stones here, I introduced David Colon to Larry Cantwell, and we got talking, and we were talking about all of this preserved farmland that is not farmed, and some of it just becomes fields of lawns, and some of this other reserves and different things that are ag soil. And we were talking about the three of us, and, wouldn't it be great to kind of be able to farm that and get some of that stuff back into being used as it should be, for, vegetables and et cetera. And so Larry let me host or organize a forum and in the town hall, and I invited anyone involved in farming in the community, in the county, anyone. We used all our contacts. And I actually got like bagels and orange juice and coffee, and I set all the chairs in the big meeting room. I set them all in a big circle. And everyone showed up at like 8 in, and we had our coffee and stuff, and we sat around for, I think, a couple of hours. And after that, Larry said, "John, it really went well. That really went well." He said, "Would you like to serve on any of I'd like to get you on some of the boards out here." And I said, "Well, I just enjoy what I'm doing at the commission right now." But then he called back a few months later, and I'm sorry. So the nice thing that came out of that meeting was the Ag Committee was basically founded. The idea was to take all these people, and at that meeting we basically said, we got to get a little honed down committee here so that you all are represented here, and that's pretty much when the Agricultural Committee was started. So I feel good about that. I attended their meeting last week via Zoom, actually, and so that was a good thing to come from that. And then Larry asked me if I would step down from the commission and chair the Zoning Board of Appeals. So I decided it was kind of nice to bring stuff back home and try to do more here. So with regard to my running, for the town board, I like to think that my 7 years in the zoning board and all of my architecture and planning and site planning and all, again, I like to think that I can bring something quite a bit to the table. As you know, Phyllis, the zoning board, so much of what we do has to do with environmental issues. We're not just dealing with someone's setback for a pool and moving it 5 or 10 feet. We work on large projects. We work on any projects within jurisdiction of natural resources, which is, 150 feet from wetlands or waters and that sort of thing. So,
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
yeah, so we work with pretty much any, and some of them are administrative if they're all conforming and there's no issues whatsoever. But my point here is that so much of what the ZBA does, has to do with the environment and has to do with protecting our environment and protecting the special character that we have out here, the character of our neighborhoods, the wetlands, the water quality, runoff.
Rural,
Yeah,
quality that we have out here.
Exactly.
Which we're trying desperately to hold on to.
Yeah, and it's great, I have an incredible board, I have to say. Roy Deline is my vice chair, and there's Terry Berger from Montauk, who's excellent, and Tim Brenneman they're all excellent. Tim Brenneman is on the board, and Ed Johan is a new member who's just phenomenal with his background in science, and he and Terry kind of handle the Montauk applications, and Tim does East Hampton and Wainscott, and I do Amagansett, and Roy does Springs. But we just get along. I am going to step down either way, actually, in January, because it'll be 7.5 years. And as I've said before, I just think that 8 years in a town office is enough. I mean, honestly, I think on the town board, 8 years should be enough. I think after 12 years, it just seems like it's a long time. And to me, I feel with the next generation, the younger people coming up, getting younger people involved in politics, that in 8 years you should be able to, speak your voice and try, hopefully get some things done, and then let other people kind of come in. But that's just my opinion.
So does that zoning board of appeal take up your whole day?
No, I continue to work. If I were elected, I would step down from my position at Stella Lamont Rouhani Architects. But the zoning board, it probably takes about 20 hours a week. I do, emails and a lot, and I do it off hours, evenings, weekends. I'm constantly in touch with the planning department, with Nancy Lynn Thiel is our attorney, assistant town attorney. She's our attorney. And we do planning meetings on Tuesday afternoons. We do the planning board meetings, which mostly go 3, sometimes.
And are they on Zoom?
We've been doing Zoom since back in, March, over a year, 14 months ago. Yeah. So there's a lot of work. I go in weekends and I read I try to read everything and do my homework. So we get stacks of mail, and you really have to read all the files to really be able to,
Of course, yes.
to know what you're doing and to give, and then after the meetings, you're rereading stuff and you're rewatching the hearings. The whole board works really hard, but God, I can't believe 7 years has gone by so quickly, It's been great.
It's quite a responsibility.
Yeah, well, it was I appreciate Larry. I said that to him. I said, Larry, I appreciate your trust in me. And I'll always never forget, he said, John, just, don't have people calling me after, 6 months or a year. Well, now things do take a year. It's just the workload. And he said,
Yeah.
and try to bring some levity to the board. That was his instructions to me. So I don't know if I succeeded in that, but I feel honored to work with the folks I do there. And if I may talk about affordable housing a little bit, Phyllis, if
Sure.
I can continue on.
Hey, it's your show.
Thank you so much. It's because I like to get people to know how I feel and hopefully if they, they'll be voting for me in the ballot box. I'm the environment, obviously I'm concerned with my background. I like to think, again, I can bring a lot to the table in managing projects, and one of the bigger projects that should be and is, this town board's doing a good job with affordable housing, and I would love to continue and be a part of that. I think it's really a necessity. I've been attending the CHOF meetings and the housing opportunity, the HUD meetings that Casey chairs. There's a lot of good things going on, and they're purchasing land, which is wonderful. The current board is purchasing land, which is great.
Is that with CPF money?
I don't believe they can, no, I don't believe they can use CPF for housing. No, I would say no. But they are.
Look, there was
And
something about
they've
that.
purchased a piece of property now for the Senior Citizen Center, which will be getting underway, down the road.
And where will that be located?
That's fresh news. That's going to be right near it's a flag lot that's just, would be sort of south and east of the Terry King Ball Field over on Abraham's Path. So just on literally the side of the ball field by home plate, there'll be a flag lot going in towards the north and east or whatever, goes back towards Stony Hill, and there's 7 acres back in the square. And it's bordered on I call it the northeast or whatever, by Stony Hill. And then it's bordered by the Long Island Railroad tracks on the southern side more. And that looks like a great parcel of land they have for that. So with regard to affordable housing, as we all know, there's still a great need. And I mean, my key interest is that, I went to high school here, and I still know a lot of, my former classmates. And so many of them moved away. And it's a shame because, I mean, what the goal, as we know, should be to have our local students go off to college and graduate school and come back with their knowledge and really become a part of our community instead of
Yes.
moving to Cincinnati or going to North Carolina where it's less expensive or whatever. So there's that brain drain, that occurs. And then there's local workers and the tradesmen and, the firemen and all sorts of people that make our community what it is. And the real estate value out here is, as we know, it's just unreal compared to around the world, around the country, especially, at least. So people who are living here and getting paid the wages, they can't afford to buy property. You can't afford to buy properties and buy a house and that sort of thing. So we need housing to keep those people here and to keep our community what it is. And I'm learning that a lot of folks who have been on these lists, are really not interested in the apartments, which I can understand. They really want something that they can kind of call their own. And I'm really a proponent, and this is a big thing in the architecture world, as you know, of the green building, of the net zero houses. There's all sorts of ways to do that. And I know the current town board members are interested in that as well. But there's just a lot of new technology that I deal with every single day in our office. And I'm also interested in these smaller houses where you can really, get a nice little 1-bedroom house, or a 2-bedroom house is probably what you'd really desire. And the houses don't have to be so small. They can almost be like a studio situation, an open floor plan, which is quite nice. Most people like that these days, where you have an open living, kind of dining, kitchen space, and bedrooms and bathrooms and utility rooms and stuff. But I love the idea of that, and actually on the CHOF meeting, we were talking about that this last meeting, where and Scott Bluedorn had brought this up about where you could maybe get some templates on houses. And our office at Stella Mott Rouhani, we've done some pro bono work in Southampton designing these sort of houses that were built, and we're working on another one now. But the idea would you have a nice design that could be kind of pre-approved by the building department to save time and move things along. And maybe there's maybe there's a few different versions, and if elected, I would love to start a group of, I know all of the architects in this field. We all kind of stay together, and I was on the executive committee for the bucolic AIA chapter for years as the associate for the lead for the associates in the organization, and we all know each other. And I know there's such a wealth of knowledge out here with planners or engineers,
Yes, I know.
landscape architects. They're all really good people, and I know our office does a lot of pro bono work, and I know that people are interested in doing that. And I'd like to form a committee of the architects and really try to get an architectural committee so that we can use the special knowledge and the special talent that we have out here and design some really special, affordable, green, smaller houses in different units, and see interesting ways of clustering them when it's possible with Suffolk County, so that we really have something unique. I mean, you go by, and the existing affordable housing, the design, there's a lot to be desired there. It could be in Indiana or anywhere. And I know it's all about budget and get that sort of thing done, but there are ways to come around that. There are ways to design within a budget, instead of just these kind of very kind of blah houses, And obviously, that has to do with the character of the neighborhood for the rest of the community. I think there's opportunities also where there's older houses and all that can be bought by the town, that could be renovated and things like that. There might be some really good bones there and good foundations. And
You mean like the town buying homes that are absolutely vacant
sure,
and then kind of bringing them up to date?
sure, yeah.
Yeah, I
Again,
can show 'em
sort of thing takes a special effort, but that's where I like to think, I do this stuff every day, and I know a lot of people in the field, and I would love to kind of spearhead that sort of thing, where it's a little off the grid, kind of a little unique situations. And again, I think there's just we have a lot of great people out here, and a lot of people are willing to donate, especially when you're talking about finding housing for people, for local people, and like I say, the tradesmen and the firefighters and people that, can't afford to keep up with the real estate market, especially post-COVID, what's been going on out here. How it's going,
I mean, I know houses that have gone up just like crazy,
Yeah,
really crazy.
yeah, double, 2.5 times what they were a year ago. I've heard of that,
Yeah,
yeah.
amazing.
So, yeah, so I've always wanted to be involved, be on the town board. So it's, you have to, you only go around once. You gotta do it when you can, and give it a go. So that's what I'm doing. I'm hoping to be endorsed by the Independence Party, and I'll be going around getting signatures for that as well.
The Working Party, so,
Yeah, I missed that because I hadn't got, by the time I had screened and that sort of stuff, it was, I missed that. I missed it very shortly. I actually applied and spent a lot of time on the application. They had endorsed me previously, but, so I missed that, unfortunately. But I'm a firm believer in all of the, what the Working Families Party stands for, So I hope to, between now and June 22nd, just get out there, meet people, kind of get my name out there. I'm always sharing my email, and it's johnpaulwhelan@gmail.com, my email, and my cell phone if people want to call. And I'm leaving some kind of flyers. I'm going to be leaving some kind of door hangers around that invite people to call me if they want to know what the issues are. I try to engage with people and let them know that I am running, because we need people to turn out. It's June 22nd. It's a different kind of vote. It's a primary,
So do you have people who help you and work with you?
Yeah, I'm working with friends and trying to get just people, and some people are just interested in helping out. They'll go do some door-to-door work and that sort of thing, And
There are places where those flyers can be put up, like the Springs General Store.
Right, right.
Places like that.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So it's exciting, and as I say, I've always wanted to be on the town board. I know the board members well. I was, actually, they were between David Leese and myself when they were deciding a few years ago to replace Peter. I was on the short list, the two of us there, and that was, I appreciated that the town board was interested in having me join them,
And don't forget, a very important element of our town is our water quality.
oh, of course, well, that all, I kind of put that into the environment package, but without
Yeah.
a doubt. Well, I'll go back to the zoning board and the planning department, and I have to say the planners in the planning department, the planners we work with are too, they're very dedicated. And I work with the building department a lot, and they are as well. I actually work with a lot of the departments quite a bit, because zoning is all-encompassing, as you know. And again, if elected to the town board, I know a lot of people. I've been out here working professionally for 30 years, so I like to think, I can work with them,
And don't forget that the water quality is very important, because when you can't drink the water, what you have is nothing.
Without a doubt. And that's so much, again, with the zoning board, the applications, and, why we're trying to get so many, with, the new IAC, the Innovative Alternative Wastewater Treatment Centers, and we're trying to get the buffers and all that to protect our water. I'm probably going over here.
John, we're looking forward to you being on that ballot and casting our vote for you, so keep at it. We
Thanks.
need it. We
Thank
need
you,
people
Phyllis.
like you.
Thank you
Who
for
have a
letting me.
clear head and know what the goals of this town are, to make sure we don't become Nassau County.
Exactly. Well, thank you for letting me kind of go on and on there. I appreciate the chance.
Hey, that's what it's all about. That's
Great.
what the show does.
Right.
It tells the world about you.
Well, wonderful.
Yeah.
Keep up the good work.
Yes, thank you very much for coming. We really appreciate it. The only guy I've ever interviewed, I think, who was born and raised here, so that's very special.
Thank you,
Take
Phyllis.
care and good luck.
Thank you, Phyllis.
Okay.
Thank you.